Hello, JOMAJ Studios here, and this is our original fantasy action adventure, The Fall of Nale, Episode 3. Wearing his full armor, while carrying his father's shield like a modern backpack, along with his enchanted sword, Nathaniel rode on the path to the sorcerer's fortress on a strong white steed. Then, with no warning at all, a rope was pulled across the path, tripping Nathaniel and his horse to the ground. As Nathaniel got to his feet, ensuring there were no cuts or bruises, he found himself surrounded by over 30 Khazars, a race of scavengers that were half man, half cat. They had long razor-sharp claws and moved at an incredible speed. Nathaniel, not even flinching at the fact that he was outnumbered, drew out his sword and prepared for battle. The head of the small Khazarian army gave out a shrieking battle cry, which signaled all his men to attack. The Khazars began to attack without mercy, but Nathaniel was a top Nale knight, trained to face almost any kind of foe. Nathaniel sliced, kicked, flung, punched, and headbutted his way through almost half the Khazars that attacked him. But in the end, there were too many, all possessing mind-blowing speed. And he was just one man. An hour later, Nathaniel gained consciousness in a giant bird-like cage that was being pushed into a giant sandy area by a small and weak-looking Khazarian boy. When the cage got to the center of the area, the mutant child unlocked the door of the knight's prison and ran out of the arena, with two thick metal gates closing behind him. Nathaniel got out of the cage and observed the fact that he was standing in the middle of an arena surrounded by thousands of Khazarian people. Sitting on a throne in the midst of its people was a Khazarian king, a 10-foot lion that stood like a man with large hawk-like wings. From the crowd, the knight's weapons that were confiscated during his capture were thrown to him. As Nathaniel wasted no time in arming himself, another thick metallic gate set in front of him opened, and through it walked a gigantic Khazarian male. Like a true warrior, Nathaniel hid his fear well, for it was clear he had been kidnapped to fight for the amusement of this crowd around him. The monstrous-looking foe began to charge at the seamless, fearless knight, who had already braced himself for impact with his father's shield. Then, without warning, a silver metallic boomerang shot through the air and decapitated Nathaniel's opponent before spinning back to its owner, which was Jacob, who caught it as he galloped through the arena gate on a strong black steed. Needing no instructions, the young knight leaped on the back of Jacob's horse as it took a U-turn past him and galloped out of the way it came in. Chased by almost an entire Khazarian army, Jacob and Nathaniel had already begun to head towards the exit of the Khazarian territory. The chase ended when Jacob's horse leaped over a wall of fire the young noble warrior had created earlier, knowing very well Khazars feared intense heat. Jacob then paused the movement of his horse and glanced at the success of his trap. But before he could continue his ride into retreat, both warriors were struck off the horse with one powerful blow from the Khazarian king. As both men struggled to get to their feet, their feline attacker swooped down with a double clothesline, which threw both warriors violently to the ground. Lying flat on his face, Jacob through the side of his eye sighted the mutant moving in for another attack. Then, with impeccable timing, he leaped up from the ground, taking the large Khazar by surprise, and slashed it across the chest with his boomerang, causing the creature to give a loud roar of pain. Nathaniel, also aware of the attacker's movement, took this opportunity to drive his sword through the Khazarian king. Then, wasting no time, both men continued their retreat, leaving the huge Khazar to face its demise in the midst of flames. It was an hour before Jacob stopped riding to allow his horse to quench its thirst at a stream. "Much time has been wasted," said Nathaniel as he observed the sky and noticed the fact it was getting dark. He then turned to Jacob and said, "From here on, it gets very dangerous. It's best you turn back." "Did you realize that before or after I saved your life?" sarcastically responded Jacob, not believing the nerve of the young knights. "I'm grateful for your efforts, but there is greater evil to face up ahead," pointed out Nathaniel with a sense of superiority. "Look, the path to the evil sorcerer's fortress has become more dangerous since you last walked it. Elzador sent me to guide you through it because I grew up in the countryside and I know my way around areas like these. Okay, you can accompany me, but you must not slow me down." Both men then made camp by the stream and continued their journey the next morning, with Nathaniel assuming command of Jacob's horse without even asking. "Take that path," advised Jacob. "Why? The sorcerer's fortress is in the opposite direction." "Yes, but Elzador said all our clothing and weapons must be touched by the waters on top of the Hilarion mountain. Nathaniel, unable to argue with any sentence that had the name Elzador in it, listened to the words of young Jacob. After more than an hour of riding, the knight suddenly stopped Jacob's horse. "What is that?" Nathaniel then asked, pointing to a black unicorn with large wings at its sides, along with 2 piercing red eyes. "Quick, get away from that thing," instructed Jacob, recognizing the beast even though it stood more than 100 meters away from them. Nathaniel, reading the panic in Jacob's voice, obeyed, but it was too late. The dark-colored unicorn took to the air and began to pursue them. "What is it?" again asked Nathaniel as he made Jacob's horse move as fast as possible. "That, my friend, is a demonic creature known as Death's Steed. My father once encountered it on his travels. It is said the creature can kill you with a simple touch." "Well, it seems to be catching up with us. Is there any way we can kill it?" asked Nathaniel, sensing the horse would get tired before the demonic unicorn. "The only thing that can vanquish this creature is an enchanted weapon, but our weapons have not yet been touched by the waters of the Hilarion mountain. My sword was made enchanted by Elzador as I was given my knighthood," informed Nathaniel, instantly inspiring Jacob with a plan. "Head back towards me after 20 meters, ordered Jacob. "What?" cried out Nathaniel, but before he could realize what Jacob was up to, the noble warrior drew Nathaniel's sword and leaped up into a tree as the knight rode past it. Still being chased by Death's Steed, Nathaniel remembered Jacob's instruction and avoided the demonic horse as he skillfully rode towards the brave warrior after he rode 20 meters away from him. As Nathaniel rode past the tree Jacob jumped into, the noble warrior leaped out and cut off the head of the demonic steed that was in pursuit of the knight. As Jacob's feet touched the ground, the threat of Death's Steed was no more. "The presence of Death's Steed means much evil has been released onto this world," said Jacob to himself as he stared down the path that lay before him and his new comrade. That is the end of episode 3, but before we go, answer this episode's question. If Nathaniel is a Christian, is it right he assumed command of the quest after he was rescued by Jacob? Refer to the Bible and give your answers via any of JOMAJ Studios' social media platform links, which can be found at jomajstudios.com. Like Water, The Next Age is now available on paperback and in ebook format via any Kindle device. Also, check out the JOMAJ Studio website, Twitter page, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube channel for the complete Like Water series and all other JOMAJ Studio features.